From the Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight. Muslim leaders from swing states gathered in Dearborn, Michigan last weekend to launch a national campaign called #AbandonBiden. They say it is a response to their dissatisfaction with President Joe Biden's support of Israel's genocidal war on Gaza, which has resulted in over 15,000 Palestinian casualties. Participants hailed from Michigan, Minnesota, Arizona, Florida, and Pennsylvania, amongst other states. The leaders say they want Biden to become a one-term president by coordinating their efforts across these crucial swing states for the 2024 presidential election. The leaders stress the importance of their voting bloc's influence, which is made up of approximately 3.45 million Muslim Americans. The leaders have not pledged support for Donald Trump, but plan to discuss potential candidates for the upcoming election as primaries approach. The Biden campaign has not responded to these developments. More than 800 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli airstrikes since Saturday, according to Palestinian news agency Wafa. On Monday, Israeli warplanes killed 30 Palestinians and leveled a main market. They also targeted residential areas in Gaza's Al Zaytun and Al Shujaiya neighborhoods. Israel's military has expanded its ground offensive in southern Gaza, raising concerns of further violence. It has issued evacuation orders around the southern cities of Khan Yunis and Rafah. Witnesses reported the entry of dozens of Israeli tanks accompanied by armored personnel carriers in Khan Yunis. The Israel Defense Forces launched a significant offensive, targeting 200 Hamas sites during the night, including infrastructure within schools in northern Gaza. 3 Israeli soldiers are also reported to have lost their lives. Over 80% of Gaza's population is now affected, according to the United Nations agency responsible for providing relief to Palestinian refugees. Approximately 1.2 million people have sought shelter in 156 UNRWA installations across Gaza. In a separate incident in the northern West Bank city of Qalqilia, Israeli forces shot dead 2 Palestinians during a raid. The death toll in the West Bank, which is not controlled by Hamas, has now reached at least 256 Palestinians since the start of the Hamas-Israel war on October 7th. The toll in Gaza stands at over 15,000 Palestinians. Israel is using artificial intelligence to maximize Palestinian casualties. According to an investigative report by Plus 972 magazine and the Hebrew language outlet Local Call, the Israeli army uses an intelligence application known as Habsora, or the Gospel in English. It speeds up the process of finding possible targets and contributes significantly to Israeli attacks on civilian infrastructure. According to the research, when compared to previous attacks on Gaza, the current assaults significantly increase the targeting of civilian infrastructure. Private residences, public buildings, civilian infrastructure, and multi-story buildings were among the targets. The report said intelligence units pre-examine and calculate the estimated number of potential targets, including homes, as well as the anticipated number of civilians living in those areas in Gaza. That means that the military is aware of the approximate number of civilians to be killed before launching an attack. In one of the attacks, the Israeli military knowingly approved the killing of hundreds of Palestinian civilians to assassinate a high-ranking military commander of Hamas, the report said. Congressman Alexander Green has introduced a resolution supporting the state of Palestine's right to exist and endorsing a two-state solution. The representative from Texas's 9th congressional district is a member of the Democratic Party. He says he had recently voted for Israel's right to exist and condemned Hamas's attack on its citizens. Green says by introducing the resolution on Friday, he was standing for the right of Palestine to exist in a similar way. Titled the Original Resolution, affirming the state of Palestine's right to exist, it acknowledges the historical context of the conflict. It highlights the United Nations General Assembly's 1947 Resolution 181, which called for the partition of Palestine into Arab and Jewish states. It also underscores the importance of recognizing the two-state solution as the path to lasting peace in the region, rejecting calls for Palestine's destruction. The development comes after the House of Representatives reaffirmed Israel's right to exist in a previous resolution. Representative Green's latest resolution aims to promote dialogue and a peaceful coexistence for both nations, signaling his commitment to addressing the long-standing Israel-Palestine conflict. The London Metropolitan Police is asking witnesses and victims to testify about war crimes they witnessed in Palestinian territories. This comes after it was criticized for focusing solely on travelers arriving from Israel and not Gaza. The International Center of Justice for Palestinians is assisting in collecting evidence for potential war crimes cases against Israel. The UK police will share evidence it receives regarding war crimes in the region since June 2014 with the International Criminal Court. So far, the Metropolitan Police's Crimes Unit has received at least 20 referrals related to war crimes in Gaza. British Palestinian surgeon Ghassan Abu Sitta has provided testimony about alleged atrocities he witnessed during his time in Gaza, including during the latest Israeli attack on Palestine. Qatar has called for an immediate, comprehensive, and impartial international investigation into what they say are Israeli crimes in Gaza. Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani says Qatar will continue its efforts to facilitate another truce. It would also work to reach a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Recently, a week-long Israel-Hamas truce brokered by Qatar with the support of Egypt and the United States led to the release of 80 Israeli captives in exchange for 240 Palestinian prisoners. The truce ended on Friday. Both sides have accused each other of violating the conditions of the deal. American Airlines has come under fire after a flight attendant asked a passenger who was wearing a sweater with the word Palestine on it to remove it or wear it inside out. The unidentified passenger said on social media that on November 28th, while boarding a flight from New York City to Phoenix, Arizona, the flight attendant warned him to take off or reverse the sweater or he would be removed from the plane. The passenger noted that he wore the sweater inside out because he was not aware of his rights and felt alone. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who is of Palestinian origin, wrote about the incident on Instagram. She says she emailed the airline about the issue and expected a response. A statement by the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee says the action by American Airlines is not only about discrimination. The group urged the airline to issue an official apology to the passenger. U.S. supplies bunker buster bombs to Israel. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. The United States has sent a substantial arsenal, including large bunker-busting bombs, to support Israel since October 7th. According to the Wall Street Journal, approximately 15,000 bombs and 57,000 artillery shells have been supplied to Israel. 2 C-17 military cargo planes carried these weapons soon after Israel began its war against Gaza. Bunker buster bombs are known for their capability of penetrating deep into fortified structures before detonating. The list of munitions sent by the United States to Israel comprises more than 5,400 Mk-84 bombs, 5,000 unguided Mk-82 bombs, about 1,000 GBU-39 small-diameter bombs, and around 3,000 joint direct attack munitions. A protester with a Palestinian flag was critically injured last week after setting herself on fire outside the Israeli consulate in Atlanta. A security guard who tried to intervene was also injured. Authorities have not revealed the protester's identity. Interim Chief of Police of Atlanta, Chief Darren Shearbaum, called it an extreme example of political protest. Israeli Consul General Anat Sultan Dadon described it as an expression of hate and incitement towards Israel. Fox News is being accused of spreading false news and Islamophobia. This is after it recently broadcast claims that a car accident on the Rainbow Bridge border crossing in Niagara, New York, was a terrorist act linked to Muslims and Arabs. Watchdog group Media Matters for America reveals that Fox News mentioned this fake terrorism narrative 97 times. Correspondent Alexis McAdams fueled the claims, later retracting them due to what she claimed were conflicting reports. Others, like Fox News anchor John Roberts, suggested Hamas involvement in the incident. The deadly crash involved in a couple traveling in a Bentley at a high speed. This resulted in an explosion. The New York Times reports that no terrorist activity was suspected. Niagara Police Chief Brian McCulloch says the speculation on both mainstream and social media platforms had created significant and unnecessary anxiety. Civil defense teams in Gaza are reporting a shortage of equipment to retrieve thousands of bodies lying under the debris of damaged buildings. Civil defense spokesman Mahmoud Basal says Israeli forces have been also targeting their teams to block rescue operations. He called for help and equipment to allow his teams to remove the debris and excavate bodies. Activists held a pro-Palestinian demonstration at the United Nations Climate Change Summit, or COP28, in the United Arab Emirates. Protesters condemned Israeli attacks on Gaza and demanded an immediate ceasefire. Gathering at Blue Zone in Expo City, Dubai, protesters read the names of people killed by Israeli attacks. Burkina Faso and Niger have officially pulled out of the West African multinational military force known as the G5 Sahel. The decision was announced by their military leaders. They cited the G5 Sahel's failure to achieve its intended goals as a primary reason for their withdrawal. Established in 2014, the military force was composed of Burkina Faso, Chad, Mali, Mauritania, and Niger. It was created to combat insurgency in the tri-border region. However, minimal progress has been made in quelling the insurgency, leading to Mali's junta's withdrawal from the force in 2022. Burkina Faso and Niger say the G5 Sahel has failed to serve the interests of their people and hindered their ambitions for security and development. They specifically mentioned issues of sovereignty and institutional obstacles as contributing factors to their decision. These withdrawals come amid political instability in both countries, with recent coups changing leadership in Burkina Faso and Niger. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.